Free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Earnestly podcast coming to you September 17, 2021. Talk a little fast here because I have, 20 minutes to get into this? Because I have to go to work. Of course, podcast, subscribe to iTunes. Well, not iTunes. Apple Podcasts and all that. Turn that down real quick. Sorry about that. It should be a fast podcast today because when it gets in, because I don't think I have any time to record for the rest of the weekend. As you know, week 2 is underway and all that, and there's a lot to talk about. I want to get on my chest. First off, last night's game, Giants, almost did it again. Redskins, almost said Redskins again. Shout out my boy Big Jim's and give me shit every time. Every time I say the word Redskins, I deserve a ding, a bad ding though. Like seriously, no, I don't mean to say it, but I'm so used to saying. Look, you gotta remember something. I'm a New York Giants fan, so I've been a fan 30 years. So I'm used to this. This is what I just know. NFC East football. I know Eagles twice a year. I know Cowboys twice a year. I know the goddamn Reds. You know what's football team twice a year. So you're asking me to undo 30 years of a word that I'm so used to saying. I'm not saying I'm proud of saying it. It just comes out. It just comes out naturally. I can't help it. But in any case, last night's game, Giants find ways to lose. I got buddies of mine. Actually, my buddy Corey Vasquez was on the podcast back in July. I'm gonna have him on very soon again. Young guy, young kid, great sports mind, especially. Bit of a homer, bit of a Giants homer. Right? But I told him, look, I don't trust this team, and everything you saw last night in that game. Everything you saw last night in that game is why I don't trust this team. If you can't do the little things correctly, how can I trust you to do the big things? Dropping touchdown passes, a holding call. Look, the Giants had 14 points on the board yesterday on that game. Okay, this game shouldn't even close in the first place. Number one. Okay, the fact that you had the blocking call, the holding call on the block, that Daniel Jones touchdown out right away, so you got 3 points out of that. Okay, the drop touchdown by Slayton. Okay, and then literally after the drop touchdown, you have 2 straight full starts on the O-line. And I'm supposed to trust the team with the playoffs or win a division? Granted, NFC East, which I'm supposed to trust them to do that? No, I can't. If you can't do the little things correctly, how can I trust you to do the big things? Years back, I'd be more frustrated. Now, do I sound frustrated right now? A little bit. Just a little bit. It's a tad. 10 plus years ago, before I got married, before I had kids, if the Giants lost the game the way they lost last night, I've been pissed off. I've been, apoplectic, if you will. But I'm 41. I got kids. I got bills to pay. I got a wife. I got other priorities. I got podcasts to do. So yeah, it hurt in the moment. And then when I'm supposed to, what happened last night? I actually put my rest of the podcast on hold for over an hour to finish the fucking game. Okay. Once they lost the game, it's like, okay, it sucks. Goodbye. What podcast? And out of sight, out of mind. Do I care about the Giants? I do care about the Giants, but I don't let these losses. I don't let these losses frustrate me anymore because it is what it is. And this team's bad anyway too, so it's now becoming expectation. For the last 10 years. The last 10 years, this team's been up nothing but trash. Okay, I hate to say it, nothing but trash. Daniel Jones bounced back yesterday, had a great game. Again, Daniel Jones, has the tools to be an elite quarterback. He has the tools. Anybody that knows football will tell you that. He has the tools. But he won't be because he turns the ball that much. And if I start buying in right now, which I now all of a sudden, great game. That's Daniel Jones. He's the future. I buy in this week. Next week, he's going to shit the bed again. So I'm not doing it. The 0-2, and that's it. It is going to be 0-2. That's simple. I hate this. I hate to be that guy now. I hate to be that guy. But that's what it is, man. This is what I get every year with this team now. I'm used to losing now, and until either they fire Dave Gettleman, Daniel Jones. I don't think I'm doubtful that he's the future. This is just what we are. The Giants are a bad football team, and and my fellow friends, Giant friends, whatever, need to start just accepting that. This is what it is. If you can't do the little things right, how can I trust you to do the big things? Just that simple. So, anyway, all right, that's out of the way now. Let me go to my picks of the week. So this last night's game, I included that. I posted on social media, and I included last night's game as part of my five team picks I do every week. against the spread. Last week went 3-2. Last night I had the under in the game. Did not get that. I thought I was going to get it the first half. You kind of thought, oh, maybe you get the under 41.5. Nope. Both teams found a way to score late, or the Giants found a way to give up points late. So I'm on 1 this week so far. For the rest of the week though, and I'm trying to find this right now because I'm on a rush right now. I'm trying to get this done before I go. Let me see here if I can find this. Okay, I took my picks from this week so far. I took the Packers minus 11 over Detroit. I have also, where the hell are these picks? Where are these picks right now? I apologize. I don't have my picture now on my screen. I don't have it on my screen. This is not cool. So I just posted on my social media over the weekend. Packers to cover. Oh, here, I remember the other ones. Over 55.5 on Ravens and Chiefs on the late game on Sunday. Which I believe is a Sunday night game, I believe. Trying to find the other game. Oh, you know what? It's in the Browns to cover 2.5 points against Houston. That's the other thing I wanted to talk about. That one. And then, let me see. I think it's the last one. Hold on, let me see if I find the last one there. Trying to find these picks real quick. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna have some balls here. Give me the no. I am not touching that game. I was gonna put the Cowboys in the Chargers game as part of my picks of the week. That ain't happening. I'll find another pick. If I find out, I'll probably. You know what I'll do? Scrap this part of the podcast. The picks. I'll record a separate, 5-minute podcast today or tomorrow. Post my picks. How about that? We'll do that. So, because unfortunately I didn't transfer my picks from my iPhone to my iCloud here, and unfortunately my phone is on outside the studio, and I don't want to pause this, to get it. So unfortunately I'm not gonna be able to do so. So that's fine. That's fine. What I'll do is I'll post a separate podcast in a few hours, maybe later in the day, maybe tomorrow morning, and just put it out there. Won't be 2 picks. So anyway, what else to talk about here? More NFL stuff. Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer was actually. What the hell is that on my cats? Wow, a freaky day today. Urban Meyer. Obviously with the USC firing Clay Helton this week, a lot of rumors about who's the next USC coach. We've heard for years that Urban Meyer could be a guy 30 years that could be the next coach, whatever. Now Urban Meyer obviously is a coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So look, 0-1 start to the Jaguars this season already, but it's not just the 0-1. We're already hearing infighting and frustration come out of Jacksonville about Urban Meyer, that he's not necessarily happy and things are just not really going the way he wants it to go. So obviously the rumors are already starting up, firing about Urban Meyer being the next coach of USC. Now I did see the video where he said he denied that he's interested in the job, but then again, you watch that video, you're like, are you convinced that yes, he believes what he's saying? Do you actually believe what he's saying? I don't believe it. I'm not saying he's going to take the job. I'm just saying I don't trust him to, because number one, I think, I was talking to a couple of friends this week too, that, it would not shock me if Urban Meyer retires or leaves this team, leaves the Jaguars after this year. I think he's on a 5-year contract or something like that, a 4-year contract, but it wouldn't shock me because, Urban Meyer's is that guy. Urban Meyer finds ways, to not commit, and then, then he doesn't commit, and then that's it. So, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, it's sad to say because you want to be that guy, but how can you trust a guy? Honestly, find more health issues to make excuses for not being in Jacksonville. I mean, again, this is a young team. They should stick it out. Stick it out. But I mean, I was convinced when I saw that. It was like he was trying to. It's like he was trying hard not to say something else on there. When I saw the press conference, yeah, I'm not convinced that you actually are going to be here long term. When I mean long term, I mean beyond this year. It wouldn't shock me one bit if Urban Meyer ends up being the next head coach of USC by the time it hit the January. Because the Jaguars ain't going anywhere this year. They're gonna be what, 2-3 win team. They lost to what I think is the worst team in football right now in Houston for week 1. So, what makes you think that's going to change? So, anyway, something I want to talk about real quick. Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh last week finally inducted Hall of Fame, second try. Remember last year he didn't get in. Now I believe he didn't get in last year because of the fact that it was a bloated induction list. You know, last year was Kobe Bryant, last year was Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, bunch of guys. So Chris Bosh is a guy I've been saying for a long time, and I'm not trying to be a homer because he was a member of the Miami Heat. You know, Chris Bosh to me was a first ballot guy. Now, a lot of people will agree with that. I got an argument with a buddy of mine last week about that. Like, he's never put down, when he went to Miami, this and that. I'm like, dude, this guy was a 24-10 guy in Toronto for 7 years, okay? He comes to Miami, takes the third role. And by the way, guys, not just a third role. He was a third role behind arguably the greatest player in history of basketball, and then Dwayne Wade, who was still at the end of his peak. Dwayne Wade, by the way, Dwayne Wade was actually literally, prior to LeBron getting there and Bosh getting there, was averaging 30 points a game. So Chris Bosh sacrificed and still find a way to manage to average 17 points a game in Miami as the third guy with less touches. So Chris Bosh doesn't get into the Hall of Fame, without question. But what he said at this Hall of Fame speech, talking about Kobe Bryant, because Kobe Bryant's been on our mind for the last year and a half, since obviously passing January 2020. He was talking about the work ethic he learned from Kobe Bryant, and to me, I mean, Chris Bosh is such a great dude, man. It still hurts that he was able to finish his career the way he wanted to because of the blood clots and whatnot, and the risks and stuff. Imagine Chris Bosh and his Heat team in 2016, 2017. This would have been a team that maybe could have challenged for the East Finals, maybe the NBA Finals. But anyway, but Chris Bosh, some great words.
I'd like to share a lesson I learned from him. It was 2008. The Redeem team was formed. And we were in Vegas for the start of training camp, and we were getting ready for the Olympics in Beijing. We're going to head to Beijing. And I wanted to establish myself as a young leader on the team by waking up bright and early, day one. So the goal was to be the first one at breakfast. So I set my alarm. I make sure I'm up by sunrise. I get out of bed. I put on my gear and I head downstairs. But when I get there, Kobe's already there, with ice packs on his knees, drenched in sweat. Now, it took me a minute to figure it out, but this guy wasn't only awake before me. He had already worked out. He had just played in the finals days earlier. Meanwhile, I'd been off for months and I was still exhausted. What he had done that morning was incomprehensible to me. That dedication he had only days after falling short of an NBA championship. That taught me something I've never forgotten. Legends aren't defined by their successes. They're defined by how they bounce back from their failures. And that's what I hope to communicate to anyone watching this, especially the kids.
Yeah. That story is just, and you hear a lot of relative stories to this, to Kobe Bryant and what he was and what he meant to people, and and this being that last really true warrior of the game. And I'm not trying to knock the players today, of course, because it's obviously some great players today. But Kobe Bryant was wired differently, man. Kobe Bryant was wired in the way Michael Jordan was, and I would dare say even probably far more diabolical. It's the same way we look at Tom Brady. But Chris Bosh saying this too, especially, and we never heard a story about this before, because I've been following Chris Bosh for a long time, and he's never mentioned something about Kobe Bryant being an influence and what he learned from Kobe. I mean, it was really touching to hear this, man. But Chris Bosh deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, man. I mean, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. End discussion. So I don't know why we've been discussing that, honestly. All right, let's get what else here we want to talk about here? Oh, apparently the VMAs was this week. The MTV Music Awards. Video Music Awards. No one gives a shit. And apparently the ratings are reflective of that now. This year's VMAs actually down 30+% from last year. And they did not draw over 1 million. They drew under 1 million viewers. Again, no one cares about the VMAs. No one cares. I mean, I don't think I watched the VMAs, honestly, since 2009. Okay? And I didn't watch the entire show. I watched, maybe a clip of it. The only way you'll get me to watch the VMAs is if one of my favorite bands are playing or performing on there, or performer is on there. Otherwise, I don't give a shit. I just don't care. And it's reflective of the of the kind of programming they are. I mean, I don't know why they even call themselves MTV anymore. You don't do music television anymore. You guys are basically a reality show. And I'm not knocking reality shows. I love the Real World back in the day, but you're not a you're not a music television show anymore. So, I mean, this is why it's kind of laughable, the fact that you would still host a show, the VMAs, as though, like, you actually, give a shit about music. You don't. You haven't in a long time, It didn't surprise me, because, I mean, I went I was on social media on Sunday, and no one's talking about the VMAs. Other than, like, a couple, like, the red carpet stuff, which, again, you need that. The only way to make the VMAs even relevant is to bring celebrities in to do shocking shit, to realize, okay, where are they at? Oh, the VMAs? Oh, who gives a crap? No one cares. No one cares about the VMAs. I mean, come on. No one cares. I mean, I'm surprised it still exists, honestly. And ratings, just like the Oscars, which is way more legitimate in my opinion, but I don't watch the Oscars either, their ratings are tanking. You just realize, too, also, I don't think people give a shit about award shows anymore in general. Oscars, doesn't matter. Oscars, Grammys, even Grammys don't care about anymore. And I'm a music connoisseur, but I don't think anybody gives a shit about the Grammys anymore, honestly. So anyway, staying back to sports media here. So if you guys notice, you guys watch First Take, ESPN First Take, you notice that Stephen A. Smith, you notice that Max Kellerman's gone. He's been gone for the last I think week and a half, 2 weeks now. They've gone in the direction of the show. Stephen Smith is pretty much the be all end all, and what they're doing with the show now is every day they have a rotating guest of panelists. Have Michael Irvin come Monday. They'll have an HBCU episode Wednesday. They have a couple other guys coming rotating in and out. So basically, Max and Stephen A. split up. Max now, to his credit, has his own show now on ESPN on his own whatever. We don't know what happened, but apparently, according to Stephen A., the other people said that Stephen A. won him off the show. Stephen, to his credit, admits that he is on the on Hot 107 in New York with Peter Rosenberg even in the morning. Here's Stephen A. Smith on there, I think, a couple days ago, discussing why Max is not on the show anymore.
But it didn't seem like you and Max had a bad relationship at all. So where do those rumors come from, and what's the truth with the departure of Max Kellerman from First Take?
Well, the rumor's accurate in terms of me wanting him off the show. Let's get that out the way. Yes, I did. We don't have a bad relationship. I think he's a real good guy. I appreciate what he did for the show. We were number one for 5 years. We stayed number one, and I appreciate that. But what a lot of people don't realize is that the work that goes into doing the show every single day. And the reality is that we have 15 segments a day, 75 segments a week. Over 3,000 takes a year. In the 9 years that I've been on First Take, I've given over 33,000 takes. And what a lot of people don't realize is that not just the work that goes into that, and the audience lets you know that it is what it is, and you feel the need for something fresh. You feel the need to retool. And the reason why I'm unapologetic about my position is that, number one, there's no knock against him personally, his professionalism, his work ethic, and all of that other stuff, his talent. It's not like I wanted the guy to be fired or anything like that. I knew that there were landing spots for him available at this network that would generate just as much, if not more, revenue for him and all of that other stuff. And it wasn't really about asking him to be off the show. It was about the fact that I knew that we together, as far as I was concerned, was not a great partnership anymore. And that was something that needed to change. And we cover the world of sports, and this is where maybe I stand on an island all by myself in saying this, but I'm absolutely flabbergasted that people would react the way that they do in terms of stuff like this, because we cover the world of sports.
So a lot of people will piss at Stephen A. Smith because don't the show. I gotta be honest with you. I actually appreciate the fact that Stephen A. Smith is very transparent about this. Like, you may not like the show without Max and Stephen A. I thought Max was pretty decent. He brought an intellectual point of view to the show. I do think there was definitely some clashing of heads a little bit. You can see sometimes on certain subjects they did clash, and maybe it got to a head at some point where they wanted to part ways. I do appreciate the fact that Stephen A. Smith was actually very transparent about this. And for the record, super about Stephen A. Smith, and yes, he's a character now in ESPN and what they do, and it's not so much my cup of tea like it used to be. But Stephen A. Smith is a fantastic journalist, number one. But Stephen A. Smith is also great at what he does. Very talented. Anybody that knocks that, no, we're not grading his opinions. We're grading based on what he can do. He's a fantastic and very, very entertaining, and he's a genius. He's really good at what he does. He knows how to get people's emotions into a show. I do appreciate the fact that he was transparent about this. I do appreciate about that. And that's all I can say really at this point. By the way, if this cut off, I apologize if that part of the if we cut off. I'm having some issues with my mixer here, whatever. But it's been a weird show today. Weird show. I don't know why you did it in the first place, but I want to get some content out before I go to work. But I appreciate Stephen's candor. Being honest about this. I wish more people were like that, honestly. But it is what it is, man. I'm gonna miss him on the show. Because I do think, again, he was a nice balance. I actually did prefer Max over Skip Bayless. It got to the point where Skip Bayless was I don't know. I just think that we'll see how this thing goes. I don't hate the new thing they're doing now. I don't really hate it necessarily, but I do think Max is definitely a loss for the show. Anyway, last thing before I let you go, more vaccine talk, because Nicki Minaj decided to tweet the other day about her not wanting to get the vaccine and should be pressured to get a vaccine because she thinks basically what happened. Okay, so she tweeted the other day, she sparked a fear, number one, because she alleged on Twitter that her cousin in Trinidad, which by the way my family's from Trinidad as well too, refused to get a vaccine because his friend became impotent after being vaccinated. Basically saying, she tweeted this, basically saying, quote, his testicles became swollen. His friend, who was weeks away from getting married, now the girl called at the wedding. Okay? First off, let me say this real quick. Even if this is true and you believe this, why would you put your friend's business out there in the first place, your cousin's business out there in the first place? First off, let's just start there. That in itself I have a problem with. Okay? Number two. And by the way, oops, sorry about that.
We know every family.
Wow, this show's with the rails fast. Number two, why would you put out information like that, in general? You have 22.6 million followers on Twitter. And look, I'm the guy that always says think for yourself, this and that, I'm not one of those guys that says you should get a vaccine. You should, you get it or else, whatever. I think you should get a vaccine, but and force you to do what you don't want to do. You make choices. People make choices. You have a choice to make, and that's it. And by the way, the Trinidad leaders already, that media and whatever have already said that it is what she's saying is false. People have already said that what she's saying is false. I don't know. To me, what she said was it was just foolish. It's just foolish in my opinion. I think it was just foolish. Like I said, I already don't like the fact that she puts someone's business on blast like that to begin with. That was bad enough. But I get people have questions. And again, I was one of those people who had questions too. But again, talk to your church. Don't go based on what some fucking celebrity, Nicki Minaj, for example, says, or what some jackass on fucking YouTube says also too. Like, come on, use your fucking brains here. Like, seriously. That's all I'm saying, dude. Use your brains. Okay? Because there are people also, too, people I know personally, that want the vaccine, but can't get it because of health issues. Just saying. But don't put people's business on fucking Jump Street to further your narrative. So, I'm done. This show's off the rails today. I'm done. Twitter, E7. Like I said, I'll post a separate 5-minute podcast on the feed on my week 2 picks. Maybe I'll start doing it more often. Just put the picks by itself separately from the episodes. Maybe I'll do that. All right, Toodles, gotta go. Love you guys. Take care and see ya.